The stars looked different when you owned them. Fleet Commander Thexvor stood on the bridge of his massive warship and watched the empty space ahead. His ship, the Dominion's Edge, was bigger than most cities. Around him, 42 other ships moved in perfect lines through the darkness of space. Thexvor's forearms moved across the control panels with practiced ease. His red eyes scanned the data screens that showed him everything he needed to know. The Velkhari Empire had been conquering worlds for 300 years. They had destroyed 17 different alien races. Some fought back. Some tried to hide. Some begged for mercy. It never mattered in the end. The bridge crew worked quietly around him. Each Velkhari was tall and thin, with skin that looked like dark metal. Their hands had 6 fingers that could move faster than human eyes could follow. They were smart, they were strong, and they had never lost a war. Sub-Commander Velthara walked up to Thexivor. Her armor clicked against the metal floor with each step. She carried a datapad in her lower 2 hands while her upper hand stayed near her weapons. "Commander," she said, "we are 3 hours from the target system. All ships report ready for combat." Thexvor nodded but did not look away from the stars. "Tell me about this planet again." Velthara touched her datapad and the main screen changed. Now it showed a small blue and green world spinning slowly in space. Clouds covered parts of the surface. Large areas of water reflected light back toward space. "The planet is called Earth," Velthara said. "The species that lives there calls itself human. They are young and weak. Our scouts say they only learned to travel between stars 3 years ago. What weapons do they have?" Thexivor asked. "Very simple ones," Velthara replied. "They still use solid projectiles for most of their fighting. Metal bullets fired from chemical explosions, some basic energy shields, but nothing that could stop our plasma weapons." Thexivor's mouth opened slightly, showing rows of sharp teeth. This was how Velkhari smiled. "How many ships do they have?" "Our scouts found evidence of maybe 5 or 6 small vessels. Nothing bigger than our destroyers. Most of their military still uses vehicles that cannot even leave their planet's atmosphere." Another bridge officer, Weapons Master Zekhan, turned from his station. "Commander, why are we using the full fleet for such a weak target? We could take this world with just 10 ships. Thexvor finally looked away from the stars. "Because the High Command wants to send a message. When we destroy this human homeworld quickly and completely, other young species will hear about it. They will know that resistance is useless." The bridge fell silent except for the low hum of the ship's engines. Every Velkhari on the bridge had heard stories about worlds that tried to fight back. The stories always ended the same way. The Velkhari Empire did not accept surrender. They did not take prisoners. They did not show mercy. Velthara looked at her datapad again. "Commander, there is one thing. Our long-range sensors are picking up strange energy readings from the asteroid belt in this system." "What kind of energy readings?" Thexvor asked. "We're not sure. The patterns don't match anything in our databases. It might be some kind of mining operation. Or maybe natural phenomena from the asteroids hitting each other." Thexhan laughed. A sound like metal scraping against stone. "These humans probably don't even know how to hide their industrial equipment properly. Primitive species never think about sensor signatures." Thexivor waved one of his hands in dismissal. "It doesn't matter. Even if they are building weapons in secret, what could they possibly create that would threaten us? We have conquered civilizations with technology far more advanced than anything these humans possess." The fleet continued moving through space. Each ship was a work of art and science. The hulls were made from materials that could absorb energy weapons and redirect the power to their own systems. The weapons could fire plasma bolts hot enough to melt through solid rock. The shields could stop anything short of a direct hit from a star. Every Velkhari ship was fast, deadly, and efficient. They had been designed by minds that understood war as a science. The Empire had learned from every battle, improved after every conquest. Their technology was perfect. Velthara returned to her station and began preparing the attack plans. The humans had built cities near large bodies of water on their planet. Those would be the first targets. Destroying the population centers would break their spirit immediately. After that, hunting down the survivors would be simple. An hour passed. Then 2 hours. The Velkhari fleet moved closer to Earth like a storm approaching a peaceful shore. "Commander," the navigation officer called out, "we are approaching the edge of the system. The planet's moon is visible on our screens." Thexvor moved to the front of the bridge. Through the large windows he could see a small gray sphere hanging in space near the blue planet. Earth looked so peaceful, so unaware of what was coming. All ships prepare for combat, Thexfor ordered. Target the major population centers first. We want this to be over quickly. But as the fleet moved past the moon, something unexpected happened. The navigation officer's voice became sharp with surprise. Commander, we have a contact. Something is moving out from behind the moon. The main screen changed to show what their sensors had found. A single ship was emerging from the moon's shadow. It was huge, much larger than any Velkari vessel. The hull looked like it was made from some kind of primitive metal. Strange shapes stuck out from all sides like the quills of an angry animal. The bridge fell silent. No one had expected this. Analysis, Thexfor demanded. Velthara worked quickly at her station. The vessel is enormous, Commander, nearly 3 times the size of our largest dreadnought. But the materials, they appear to be simple metal alloys, very thick layers of them. Weapons, the energy signatures are confusing. They don't match any known technology. Whatever weapons that ship carries, they're unlike anything in our databases. Zekan studied his weapons display. Commander, it's just one ship. One ship against our entire fleet. Even if it's large, what can one vessel do against 43 of ours? Thexivor found himself agreeing. Size wasn't everything in space combat. A large ship was often just a large target. The humans had probably built this vessel to try to frighten them. It wouldn't work. Open communications, Thexfor ordered. Let's hear what these humans have to say. The main screen flickered and then showed the bridge of the human ship. A figure in a dark uniform stood in the center. The human was smaller than a Velkari with pale skin and dark hair. But something about the way he stood made Thexfor pause. This is Captain Park of the UES Indomitable, the human said. His voice was calm and steady. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave this system, or we will be forced to defend our home. For a moment, no one on the Velkari bridge spoke. Then Zekan began to laugh. The sound spread to other crew members until the entire bridge echoed with their amusement. Did you hear that? Zekan gasped between laughs. One ship. One human ship threatens our entire fleet. Thexivor smiled widely, showing all of his sharp teeth. Broadcast that transmission to the entire fleet. Let everyone hear how brave these humans think they are. Across the Velkari Armada, the human captain's warning played on every ship. The response was the same everywhere. Laughter, disbelief, and contempt. The humans had just made the last mistake of their species. Captain Yoon stood in the center of the bridge and watched the alien fleet approach Earth. The UES Indomitable was humanity's first real battleship, built in secret among the asteroids where no one could see it. Unlike the smooth, elegant ships that most alien races preferred, human vessels looked like floating fortresses covered in armor and weapons. The Indomitable was 3 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide. Every surface was covered with thick plates of hardened steel and composite materials. Rows of weapon turrets stuck out from the hull like thorns on a rose stem. The ship had been designed by people who understood that space combat was not a game or an art form. It was about survival. Sir, I count 43 enemy vessels, reported Tactical Officer Kim from his station. Their largest ships are about half our size, but they're moving in perfect formation. Our sensors show advanced energy shields and what appeared to be plasma-based weapons. Captain Yoon nodded but kept his eyes on the main screen. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had spent 20 years in Earth's Navy before joining the space program. He had seen combat before, but never like this. Chief Engineer Lee, status report, he called out. Chief Engineer Lee looked up from her control panel. She was a small woman with quick hands and a sharp mind. All systems are green, Captain. The kinetic barriers are holding steady, and our railgun arrays are fully charged. The nuclear reactors are running at optimal levels. The kinetic barriers were humanity's answer to energy shields. Instead of trying to stop incoming energy with more energy, the barriers used magnetic fields to deflect solid objects. They had been tested against everything from small meteorites to simulated nuclear explosions. Communications Officer Han, any response to our warning? Captain Yoon asked. Communications Officer Han pressed his earpiece closer and frowned. Negative, sir. Sir, they're broadcasting our transmission across their entire fleet. I'm picking up what sounds like laughter. The bridge fell quiet for a moment. Everyone understood what that meant. The aliens thought the human warning was a joke. Navigator. O looked up from his plotting station. Captain, the alien fleet is accelerating toward Earth. At their current speed, they'll reach orbital bombardment range in 18 minutes. Captain Yoon's hands tightened into fists. For 3 years, humanity had wondered when they would meet other intelligent life in the universe. They had hoped for peaceful contact, trade, and friendship. The Strategic Defense Council had prepared for other possibilities, but everyone had hoped they wouldn't be needed. The Indomitable was the result of those preparations. It had been built using everything humanity had learned from thousands of years of warfare on Earth. While other species had evolved beyond physical conflict, humans had perfected it. "All hands battle stations," Captain Yoon announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill. We have hostile contact with an alien fleet. All personnel report to combat positions immediately." Throughout the ship, alarms began to sound. Blast doors sealed automatically, dividing the vessel into hundreds of separate compartments. If the ship was damaged, each section could be isolated to prevent the loss of the entire vessel. In the weapon control rooms, crews ran final checks on the railgun systems. The railguns were humanity's primary space weapons. They used magnetic coils to accelerate solid projectiles to incredible speeds. A tungsten rod fired from a railgun could punch through almost any material known to science. "Tactical, target their lead vessels," Captain Yoon ordered. "We'll show them what human hospitality looks like." Tactical Officer Kim's fingers moved quickly across his control panel. "Sir, targeting systems are online. We have locks on the 3 largest enemy ships. Railguns are loaded and ready to fire." Captain Yoon looked around his bridge. Every officer was focused on their duties. None of them showed fear, though he knew they all understood the odds. 1 human ship against 43 alien vessels. It should have been impossible. But the Indomitable was not just any ship. It represented everything that made humans different from other species. While aliens had developed energy weapons and force fields, humans had built thicker armor. While aliens made their ships fast and elegant, humans made theirs tough and redundant. "Sir," reported Systems Officer Nam from the engineering station, "all backup systems are online. We have triple redundancy on all critical systems. Even if we take heavy damage, we can keep fighting." The human philosophy of redundancy was simple. If something could break, build 3 of them. The Indomitable had backup systems for its backup systems. Every weapon had multiple power sources. Every critical system could be controlled from several different locations. "Captain?" Communications Officer Han called out. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth Command." "Put it through," Captain Yoon replied. Admiral Choi's voice filled the bridge. "Captain Yoon, you are authorized to use any force necessary to protect Earth. The other Defense Fleet ships are moving to support you, but they won't arrive for 6 hours. You're on your own until then." "Understood, Admiral. We won't let them reach Earth." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. 6 hours was a long time to hold off an entire alien fleet. "Sir," Tactical Officer Kim reported, "the enemy fleet is spreading out. They're trying to surround us." Captain Yoon smiled grimly. "Let them. The more they spread out, the easier it will be to defeat them in detail. These aliens are used to fighting other energy weapon civilizations. They've never faced kinetic weapons before. The railguns of the Indomitable were based on technology that humanity had been developing for decades. Unlike energy weapons that could be deflected by shields, solid projectiles followed the laws of physics. When a tungsten rod traveling at 15% of light speed hit something, that something stopped existing. "Captain," Sensor Officer Park called out, "the alien ships are powering up their weapons. Energy readings are off the charts." "Understood. All hands brace for impact. Helmsman Ko, keep us between the enemy and Earth. No matter what happens, they don't get past us." Helmsman Ko nodded firmly. "Aye, sir." Maintaining position between enemy fleet and Earth. Captain Yoon thought about his family back on Earth. His wife and 2 children were probably watching the news, knowing that their father was out here facing an alien invasion. He thought about all the families on Earth, all the people who had no idea how close they were to extinction. The Indomitable had been humanity's insurance policy, a ship built in secret, designed to face threats that might come from the darkness between stars. Now that threat was here, and everything depended on whether human engineering could stand against alien technology. "Sir," Tactical Officer Kim announced, "enemy ships are moving into firing position. They'll be in range in 2 minutes." "Very well. Target the largest enemy vessel and prepare to fire. We'll show these aliens that humans don't go quietly into the night. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. Every person knew their job and did it without hesitation. They had trained for this moment, hoped it would never come, but were ready when it did. Outside the ship, space looked peaceful and empty. But Captain Yoon knew that in a few minutes it would be filled with energy beams and flying metal. The first battle between humanity and an alien civilization was about to begin, the moment that would determine whether Earth remained free or became another conquered world in an alien empire was almost here. 1 minute to enemy weapons range, Kim reported. Captain Yoon took a deep breath. All railguns prepare to fire on my command. The Valkyrie fleet opened fire first. Brilliant streams of superheated plasma lanced through space toward the human battleship. The energy beams were beautiful and terrible, each one carrying enough power to melt through solid rock or vaporize a small asteroid. Fleet Commander Thexvor watched the attack from his bridge with satisfaction. 43 ships firing at once created a light show that could be seen from planets away. No ship could survive that much firepower concentrated on a single target. The plasma beams struck the human vessel's hull with devastating force. Thexvor expected to see the enemy ship break apart or at least suffer massive damage. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ship's armor simply glowed cherry red where the plasma hit it. The metal plates absorbed the enormous heat and then began to cool, radiating the energy away into space. After a few seconds, the hull looked almost normal again. Impossible, Sub-Commander Velthara hissed, staring at her sensor readings. Those energy levels should have destroyed any known vessel. How is that ship still intact? What the Valkyrie did not understand was that human metallurgy had been forged in the fires of planetary warfare. For thousands of years, humans had been building armor to stop increasingly powerful weapons. They had learned to make steel that could withstand nuclear explosions and ceramic, composites that could deflect energy beams. The Indomitable was covered in layers of the strongest materials humanity had ever created. The outer hull was made from tungsten steel alloy designed to absorb and spread heat. Beneath that were layers of ceramic armor and shock-absorbing gel. The innermost layer was a crystalline lattice that could redistribute energy across the entire ship. While alien civilizations had developed energy weapons, they had never needed to perfect armor against them. Energy shields did that job. But humans had always assumed that any defense could be overcome, so they had built ships that could survive even after their shields failed. Captain Yoon felt the Indomitable shudder under the alien attack, but the ship held together. Warning lights flashed on some control panels, but no critical systems were damaged. "Damage report," he called out. Chief Engineer Lee checked her instruments quickly. "Minor hull heating on decks 5 through 8. All systems remain operational. The thermal radiators are handling the excess heat well." Captain Yoon nodded grimly. The alien weapons were powerful, but they were designed to fight other energy-based civilizations. They had never faced armor designed by a species that expected to be shot at with everything from bullets to nuclear warheads. Tactical Officer Kim, return fire. Show them what human weapons can do. Kim's hands moved across his targeting controls. Firing railgun array alpha. Target, enemy command ship. The Indomitable fired its first shot. Instead of energy beams, the human ship launched solid projectiles. Tungsten rods accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic coils that ran the length of the massive vessel. The tungsten penetrator was the size of a telephone pole and weighed several tons. The magnetic railgun accelerated it to 15% of light speed in less than a second. At that velocity, the rod carried the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon. The Valkyrie command ship's energy shields tried to stop the incoming projectile. Energy shields were designed to deflect plasma bolts and particle beams by creating an opposing energy field. But solid matter moving at relativistic speeds followed different rules. The tungsten rod punched through the energy shield as if it wasn't there. The shield generators, designed to stop energy, offered no resistance to physical matter. The rod continued through the alien ship's hull, through internal bulkheads, through crew compartments, and out the other side. The kinetic energy transfer was catastrophic. The alien ship didn't just break. It came apart like a balloon that had been popped. Pieces of hull flew in all directions as the massive vessel disintegrated. Thexvor stared in shock as his flagship's sister ship simply ceased to exist. What was that weapon? Weapons Master Zekhan checked his instruments frantically. "I don't understand, Commander. Our sensors showed a solid projectile, but that's impossible." No civilization uses kinetic weapons in space combat. They're too primitive. But Captain Yoon understood something the aliens didn't. Sometimes primitive weapons were the most effective ones. While the galaxy's civilizations had moved beyond kinetic warfare, humans had perfected it. Fire railgun array beta, Captain Yoon ordered. Target the 2 destroyers moving to flank us. 2 more tungsten rods flew through space at incredible speed. The Valkyrie destroyers tried to evade, but their movements had been calculated by the Indomitable's targeting computer. The AI system had studied every space battle in human fiction and history. It could predict enemy movements with terrifying accuracy. Both destroyers died instantly. The kinetic penetrators turned the elegant alien vessels into expanding clouds of debris. Panic began to spread through the Valkyrie fleet. 3 ships destroyed with 3 shots, and the human vessel appeared undamaged. This was not how space combat was supposed to work. All ships evasive maneuvers, HFY commanded. Focus fire on that ship's weapon systems. The alien fleet tried to adapt, but they were fighting a type of warfare they had never encountered. Their tactics were based on energy weapons and shield technology. They had no experience with kinetic weapons that ignored shields entirely. Chief Gunner Cho aboard the Indomitable smiled as his targeting computer locked onto another alien vessel. Target acquired, Captain. Firing Hammer of Sol. The Hammer of Sol was the Indomitable's most powerful weapon. It fired a depleted uranium rod accelerated to 20% of light speed. The projectile carried enough kinetic energy to crack a small moon. The target was a Valkyrie heavy cruiser that had been trying to circle around behind the human ship. The uranium rod hit it amidships and kept going. The alien vessel folded in half like a piece of paper being bent by invisible hands. Impossible, Velthara shouted. No single weapon should have that much power. But the humans had designed their weapons using a simple philosophy. If you're going to shoot something, make sure it dies. Every railgun on the Indomitable was built to fire projectiles with enough force to destroy anything they hit. The alien fleet tried to regroup, but the human ship was already targeting its next victims. Unlike alien vessels that relied on a few powerful energy weapons, the Indomitable bristled with dozens of railguns, missile tubes, and point defense systems, sir, Tactical Officer Song reported. The enemy fleet is attempting to surround us. Let them come, Captain Yoon replied calmly. Helm, bring us about. Show them our broadside. The massive human ship rotated with surprising speed for its size. As it turned, the aliens could see the true scope of human military philosophy. The Indomitable wasn't just armed, it was a floating weapons platform covered in gun turrets. What are those launch tubes? Zekhan asked, staring at his sensor display. He got his answer when the human ship launched its first missile salvo. 20 tubes opened along the ship's hull and fired solid fuel rockets into space. Each missile carried a nuclear warhead and its own guidance system. The missiles were not elegant like alien weapons. They were crude, simple, and devastatingly effective. As they flew toward the Valkyrie fleet, they released clouds of metallic chaff and electronic decoys. What had appeared to be 20 incoming missiles suddenly looked like 200 to the alien sensors. The Valkyrie point defense systems, programmed for precision targeting, couldn't handle the sudden flood of contacts. Most of the missiles were destroyed, but 6 made it through. Nuclear fire bloomed among the alien fleet as warheads detonated against ship hulls. The fusion explosions tore through alien armor that had been designed to resist energy weapons, not the raw destructive force of nuclear fire. 3 more Valkyrie ships died in the nuclear barrage. Others were damaged and limping, their elegant hulls scarred and broken. HFY realized with growing horror that his carefully organized fleet was being destroyed by a single human vessel. The mathematics of the battle were becoming clear, and they were terrifying. Every time his ships fired, the human vessel absorbed the damage and continued fighting. But every time the humans fired back, more of his ships died. At this rate, his entire fleet would be destroyed within the hour. How many ships have we lost? He demanded. 12 destroyed, sir, Velthara reported, her voice hollow with disbelief. Another 6 badly damaged. And we haven't even scratched their hull. The human ship represented everything that made their species different from the rest of the galaxy. While other civilizations had moved beyond physical warfare, humans had embraced it, perfected it, and turned it into an art form. The battle was far from over, but already the outcome was becoming clear. The hunters had become the hunted, and they were learning what it meant to face a species that had never stopped learning how to kill. Fleet Commander Thexvor watched his armada dissolve into chaos around him. Ships that had been moving in perfect formation just minutes ago now scattered across space like frightened animals. The human vessel pursued them with the patience of a hunter that knew its prey could not escape. The Indomitable moved through the battlefield like nothing in Thexvor's experience. It did not fly with the graceful elegance that marked advanced civilizations. Instead, it moved with the brutal efficiency of a predator that had evolved for one purpose: killing. "Status report," Thexvor demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. Subcommander Velthara worked frantically at her station. 15 ships destroyed, Commander. 8 more are heavily damaged and withdrawing from combat. The human vessel appears to have suffered only minor hull damage. The numbers were becoming a nightmare. In 30 minutes of combat, the humans had destroyed more than a third of his fleet. The Velkari Empire had not lost this many ships in a single battle for over a century. How is this possible? Weapons Master Zekhan asked, staring at his tactical display. Their weapons ignore our shields completely. Our energy defenses are useless against solid projectiles. Thexvor understood the problem now, but understanding did not help. The Velkari had developed their military technology to fight other energy-based civilizations. Every weapon, every defense, every tactic was designed around energy shields and plasma weapons. But the humans fought differently. They used kinetic weapons that treated energy shields like empty space. They built armor that absorbed energy attacks instead of deflecting them. Their entire approach to warfare was fundamentally different from anything the galaxy had seen. The Indomitable demonstrated another aspect of human military thinking: redundancy. When a lucky plasma blast from 3 Velkari ships managed to destroy one of the human ship's weapon turrets, the massive vessel simply rotated to bring fresh guns to bear. Captain Yoon watched the tactical display as his ship shrugged off the alien attack. "Damage report, Chief Engineer Lee. We lost Railgun Turret 7, Lee reported. But turrets 8, 9, and 10 are still operational. The armor held on all other sections. The human ship had been designed by people who expected their enemies to shoot back. Every critical system had backups. Every weapon array was supported by multiple others. Even if half the ship was destroyed, the Indomitable could keep fighting." "Sir," Tactical Officer Song announced, 3 enemy cruisers are attempting to flank us from the starboard side." "Noted. Helm, bring us to bearing 270. Let's give them a proper welcome." The human ship turned toward the approaching aliens with mechanical precision. As it rotated, the Velkari ships got their first clear view of the vessel's full armament. The Indomitable was not just a ship with weapons attached. It was a weapon with a ship built around it. Railgun turrets covered every surface. Missile launch tubes ran along the hull in neat rows. Point defense systems tracked every piece of debris in space around them. "Target the lead cruiser," Captain Yoon ordered. "Fire Spear of Earth." The Spear of Earth was an experimental weapon that fired a stream of smaller tungsten darts instead of single large projectiles. Each dart was only the size of a nail but accelerated to 25% of light speed. 100 darts hit the Velkari cruiser in less than a second. Each impact released energy equivalent to a small bomb. The alien ship's hull, designed to deflect energy beams, was shredded like paper in a hailstorm. The cruiser broke apart into dozens of pieces, each one tumbling away into space. The other 2 alien ships immediately changed course, trying to escape the range of the terrifying human weapons. They didn't make it. 2 nuclear missiles caught up with them and ended their retreat permanently. Thexvor felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career: fear. Not just concern about losing a battle, but genuine terror at facing an enemy that seemed unstoppable. "Commander," Velthara said quietly, "we need to consider retreat. At this rate, we'll lose the entire fleet." The word retreat had never been spoken on a Velkari command bridge during Thexvor's lifetime. The Empire did not retreat. They conquered or they died trying. But watching his ships die one by one, he began to understand that some enemies could not be conquered. "Run a complete analysis of the human vessel," he ordered. "I want to understand how this is possible." The analysis revealed the terrifying truth. While the Velkari and most galactic civilizations had evolved beyond physical conflict thousands of years ago, humans had continued perfecting the art of war. Their ship represented the accumulated military knowledge of a species that had fought itself across an entire planet for millennia. Every human innovation reflected their violent history. The armor was designed by people who understood nuclear weapons and kinetic penetrators. The weapons were built by engineers who had studied every form of destruction known to science. The tactics came from minds that had spent centuries learning how to kill efficiently. The humans had not just built a battleship. They had built a monument to warfare itself. Engineering Officer Nam monitored the battle from his station deep in the ship's hull. Around him, human crew members worked calmly at their posts. When alien plasma beams heated the outer hull to dangerous temperatures, cooling systems activated automatically. When weapon systems were damaged, repair crews moved quickly to fix or replace them. "Sir," Nam reported to Captain Yoon over the communication system, "hull temperature is back to normal levels. All repair teams report their sections secure." The human crew worked with practiced efficiency that came from extensive training. Unlike alien civilizations that had forgotten how to fight, humanity had never stopped preparing for war. Every person on the ship knew their job and could do it even under fire. "Captain," Communications Officer Han interrupted, "we're receiving transmissions from the alien fleet. They're asking each other what to do." "Let me hear it," Captain Yoon said. The bridge speakers filled with alien voices speaking in their clicking musical language. The ship's computer translated the words into English. 17 ships gone. How are we supposed to fight this thing? Weapons are useless against their armor. Never seen anything like this. Should we retreat? Captain Yoon listened to the confusion and fear in the alien voices. These beings had expected an easy conquest. They had thought humans would be just another weak species to be destroyed or enslaved. Instead, they had encountered something their empire had never faced, a species that had never stopped learning how to wage war. "Tactical, target the largest remaining ships," Captain Yoon ordered. "Let's end this quickly." The Indomitable fired another salvo of railgun rounds. 3 more alien ships died in flashes of released kinetic energy. The survivors scattered further, their formation completely broken. Thexvor counted his remaining ships and felt his heart sink. 26 vessels left out of the 43 he had started with. More than half his fleet destroyed by a single human ship that showed no signs of serious damage. "Sub-Commander," he said heavily, "prepare the fleet for immediate withdrawal." Velthara's eyes widened. "Sir, we're retreating?" "We're surviving," Thexvor corrected. "This battle is over. We need to warn the Empire about what we've found here." The proud Velkari fleet, conquerors of 17 star systems, began to turn away from Earth. For the first time in 3 centuries, they were running from an enemy. But Captain Yoon was not finished with them yet. "Sir," Tactical Officer Kim reported, "the alien ships are attempting to withdraw. Should we let them go?" Captain Yoon considered the question carefully. These aliens had come to destroy Earth and kill every human in the solar system. They deserved no mercy, but they also deserved to carry a message back to their empire. "Let them run," he decided, "but send them something to remember us by." Silence fell across both fleets like a heavy blanket. The scattered remains of destroyed Velkari ships drifted through space, twisted metal and frozen atmosphere creating a graveyard among the stars. The surviving alien vessels hung motionless, their crews struggling to understand what had just happened to them. Fleet Commander Thexvor stared at the tactical display showing the impossible truth. One human vessel had destroyed 26 ships from his fleet and showed no signs of serious damage. The proud armada that had conquered 17 star systems had been broken by a single enemy battleship. "Sub-Commander Velthara," he said quietly, his voice hollow with defeat, "run a complete analysis of the human vessel. I need to understand how this was possible." Velthara worked at her station with shaking hands. The analysis took several minutes, during which the bridge remained completely silent, except for the soft humming of ship systems. When the results appeared on her screen, Velthara's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. "Commander, this doesn't make sense." "According to our sensors, the human ship is built using primitive materials and simple construction techniques, but somehow it destroyed half our fleet," Thexvor finished. "Explain it to me." Velthara touched her control panel and the main screen showed a detailed scan of the human battleship. "The hull is made from metal alloys we stopped using thousands of years ago. Thick layers of steel, tungsten, and ceramic composites. It's like they built a fortress and stuck engines on it. And their weapons? Kinetic projectiles accelerated by magnetic fields. The technology is centuries old by galactic standards, but Belthara paused, studying the data. But they've perfected it beyond anything we've ever seen. The projectiles travel at speeds we thought were impossible for solid matter. Weapons Master Zekhan looked up from his station. Commander, I'm detecting energy signatures that suggest the human ship has dozens more weapons we haven't seen yet. Missile systems, beam weapons, even what appears to be nuclear mines. The truth was becoming clear, and it was terrifying. While the Velkari and other galactic civilizations had moved beyond physical warfare millennia ago, humans had continued perfecting the art of destruction. Their ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a weapon system designed by a species that had spent thousands of years learning how to kill efficiently. Every human innovation reflected their violent history. The armor was forged with knowledge gained from nuclear warfare. The weapons were built by engineers who understood kinetic energy and explosive force. The tactical systems assumed that enemies would try to destroy them using any method possible. The humans had not evolved beyond warfare. They had embraced it, studied it, and turned it into a science. Captain Yoon stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the alien fleet struggle to regroup. His ship had performed exactly as designed, but he took no pleasure in the destruction. War was a necessary evil, not something to celebrate. Communications Officer Han, open a channel to the alien fleet, he ordered. Channel open, sir. Captain Yoon looked directly into the camera that would transmit his image to every surviving alien ship. Alien fleet, this is Captain Yoon of the United Earth Defense Force. You came here to destroy our world and kill our people. We have shown you the consequences of that decision. On the Velkari command ship, Thexfor watched the human captain's calm face on his main screen. There was no anger in the human's expression, no hatred or triumph, just cold determination. You now have two choices, Captain Yoon continued. You can leave this system immediately and never return, or you can stay and share the fate of your fellow ships. Choose quickly. The transmission ended, leaving the Velkari bridge in stunned silence. Sir, Communications Officer Dextar reported, the human ship is powering up additional weapon systems. I'm reading energy signatures from at least 40 more railguns. Thexfor closed his eyes. The human ship had been holding back. During the entire battle, it had been using only a fraction of its weapons. If it unleashed its full firepower, not a single Velkari ship would survive. How many more ships do they have? Belthara asked quietly. It was a question that terrified every Velkari on the bridge. If this single human vessel could destroy their entire fleet, what would happen if Earth had more ships like it? They didn't have to wait long for an answer. Captain Yoon opened the communication channel again. Since you seem to be having trouble making a decision, he said calmly, let me help you understand the situation. Earth is protected by the United Earth Defense Force. The Indomitable is one of 24 battleships currently in service, with 12 more under construction. The number hit the Velkari like a physical blow. 24 ships like this one. If true, it meant that humanity possessed enough firepower to challenge the entire Velkari Empire. Thexfor knew it was time to make the hardest decision of his military career. All ships, he transmitted across his fleet, prepare for immediate withdrawal from this system. The order sent shockwaves through the Velkari Armada. In 3 centuries of conquest, they had never retreated from an enemy. But they had also never faced anything like humanity. Sir? Belthara asked quietly. What do we tell the High Command? Thexfor thought about that question for a long moment. How could he explain that they had found a species that fought like nothing else in the galaxy? How could he make his superiors understand that some enemies could not be conquered? We tell them the truth, he said finally. We found a species that never stopped learning how to wage war. We tell them that Earth is defended by weapons and tactics we don't understand, and we recommend that the Empire avoid this system permanently. The surviving Velkari ships began moving away from Earth, their elegant formations broken and their confidence shattered. As they retreated toward the edge of the solar system, they transmitted detailed sensor data back to their empire. The information would spread across Velkari space within days. Other alien civilizations would learn about it within weeks. Soon, every species in the galaxy would know about the humans and their terrible ships. Captain Yoon watched the alien fleet retreat and allowed himself a small smile. Stand down from general quarters, he ordered. Maintain combat readiness, but secure from battle stations. Sir, Chief Engineer Lee reported. Preliminary damage assessment complete. We lost 2 railgun turrets and suffered minor hull damage on decks 4 through 9. Repair crews estimate 6 hours for full restoration. Good work, Chief. Begin repairs immediately. Communications Officer Han looked up from his station. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from Earth Command. Put it through. Admiral Choi's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Captain Yoon could see the controlled chaos of Earth's military command center. Captain Yoon, we monitored the entire battle, Admiral Choi said. Outstanding work. The alien fleet is withdrawing at maximum speed. They don't appear to be stopping to collect survivors or salvage. Thank you, sir. Request permission to remain on station and monitor the system boundaries. Granted. Captain, I want you to know that your actions today have changed everything. When news of this battle spreads, every species in the galaxy will know that Earth can defend itself. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge quiet except for the normal sounds of a ship in space. Captain Yoon looked around at his crew, the men and women who had just fought humanity's first interstellar battle and won. Communications, send a message to all Earth colonies and outposts, he ordered. Text only. Earth remains free. First contact successful. Hostile fleet repelled. As the message went out across human space, Captain Yoon turned his attention to the long-term implications of what had just happened. The galaxy now knew that humanity existed and, more importantly, that humanity could fight. Other alien civilizations would hear about the battle. Some might come to Earth seeking friendship and trade. Others might see humans as a threat to be eliminated. But all of them would know that approaching Earth meant facing ships like the Indomitable. Sir, Tactical Officer Kim reported, the last alien ship has crossed the system boundary. They're gone. Very good. Helm, take us to a standard patrol orbit. We'll keep watch in case they decide to come back. The UES Indomitable moved slowly through the debris field that had once been part of an alien armada. The massive human battleship looked exactly like what it was. A weapon built by a species that understood war as both an art and a science. In the days that followed, the story of the battle would spread across Earth and its colonies. Humanity had passed its first test as a galactic civilization. They had proven that they could defend themselves against any threat. The moment when an alien armada realized they were facing a human battleship had become the moment when the galaxy learned that some species never stop perfecting the art of war. And in the depths of space, the Indomitable maintained its watch, broadcasting on all frequencies a simple message that would soon be known throughout the galaxy. Earth is defended. Approach with peaceful intentions or do not approach at all. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human strength had begun.